We no longer live in a world of black and white. Rather, the landscape has become a canvas of muted grays, where good is indistinguishable from evil, and renegades receive a hero's embrace.
And I said, psychosis!
This one's for all the pals and O'Neill. Starts a feed from the jaws of victory with the pop gun and the chubby cheese. Distraction. Hey! Podcast. Pure filth. Wins and losses don't mean shit, so watch Joseph Cringe as I do his bit. Distraction. Hey! Roll up. 1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined, as always, the big chief, Joseph Hulbert. Joseph, how are you?
Should I take the bullet on that cold open, or are we proud of that one? Where are we at on it?
No, it sucked. It was bad.
What was your thoughts on the... I did like the way that you timed it as such that Bob's big exhale was that shot of Cody with the mist.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. I mean, I think it worked. We late notice, we thought Codeman was going to win and we could have done a whole other thing. We had to adjust. Wasn't our best work, but, we go again. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm well, I guess.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Grand Slam. Do you want to get straight into Grand Slam?
They hit a triple, Joseph. They hit a triple.
I don't know what that means.
About it. It wasn't a Grand Slam.
I think it was a Grand Slam.
No, bases clearing double.
Oh, let's not do this. Let's not do this.
Bases were loaded. They had their top hitter up at the plate.
It's Grand Slam. It's tennis. You can't change the sport. Anyway.
It's baseball.
No.
It's baseball.
Anyway, AEW Dynamite Grand Slam.
Baseball is best.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Now, should we approach this? We both reviewed this last night, folks. As you know, Jeremy reviewed it for alleged wrestling website, Fightful.com. I did it on the latenightgrin.com over at Patreon. So we both covered it in detail, but I think it's important for history's sake that we hit the big topics. Now, I've rewatched some stuff. I think we're going to do a Cody discussion, but I think we need to start with one of the greatest matches in the history of wrestling television. Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, non-title, time limit draw. Just rewatched it before I get into it, Jeremy. Again, I know you reviewed it last night, but just you've had some time to let it sink in. Where are you at on that as a piece of television?
Satnam Singh is all elite.
What?
Satnam Singh is all elite, Joseph.
Good.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was you at on Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson?
It was a great match. Like, one of my favorite matches of the year. I didn't even mind the non-finish because I expected a non-finish. It obviously hurts it a little bit because you would want clean finishes on this kind of stuff, but I still thought like it was an all-time great match, like probably the best television match of the year, right? I'm trying to think of a better.
Yeah, I think
all the best matches have been on like pay-per-view special events.
The question is, was it the best? I mean, it's in the actual discussion with the best TV match ever. I think for the year, it's kind of a lock. So I need to do some digging, but I rewatched it a moment here ago and listened to Shivani and Jim Ross just be in awe of Bryan, getting us call him live, and I don't even know how many Bryan matches Shivani's watched. He just sounded absolutely amazed at how great he is. Honestly, a match that many, many years down the line people will look back on fondly. It's crazy to think we almost, if Bryan just goes back and does what he very reasonably could have done, which is stay in WWE, we'd never get that version of the match. And obviously they had the PWG deal. And I think probably the centerpiece of the argument that will rightly be made many times over about Kenny's, kind of legacy is that before this, the whole thing about him was, how will he translate to US television? And I think for the first year of that, people were a little bit unfair in dismissing him because he took a little step back and he did the great tag run with Hangman, which I love, but I think people use that as a knock against him. I think over the last, this year, in particular 2021, he has completely silenced any reasonable doubt, I think. You start the year with the Rey Fenix match, which was just incredible collection of offense. It was exciting. It was electric. You have the exploding barbed wire death match with Moxley. You have the more traditional title matches. Like you even have, we were stuck with Rich Swann. The match he did with Sami Callihan, which was a complete triumph in every which way. I don't know. That was like an impressive showing on his behalf, at least. The triple threat, double or nothing. All of these matches, right? The Christian matches, all of it stacks up really nice. But this was the centerpiece of that argument. I would say it's his best match since New Japan. And I don't say that lightly because I think he's had some great matches. Singles, at least. The tag with the Bucks and Hangman. That deserves, that deserves to be put right next to it. But singles match is his best matches in New Japan. And I think anyone that entered the match that was unsure of, that still had anything left in terms of cynicism or skepticism for Kenny, I think, man, his versatility, his adaptability goes without saying. Now, worth saying, Bryan Danielson, 4 or 5 months out of the ring, just couldn't. He looked like he just slotted straight back in. He felt at home immediately. The energy of him, he looked so excited to be there. It was just beautiful, man. What a wonderful professional wrestling match. It was, G1 final, New Japan best bout machine, Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson of Ring of Honor yesteryear in a lot of ways to me. And that's not to be clear, that's not to despite Daniel Bryan as a WWE character, because he was a great character and he had great matches in WWE. I'm not here to pretend otherwise. But the level of violence last night, man, wow. I mean, there was a level of aggression there that you haven't seen from Bryan in some time. And the whole vibe's different. He's not an underdog here. He's just a killer. Incredible match. Everything you wanted from the dream match, for sure. And they're going to do it again at some point, which is incredibly exciting.
Well, I mean, Kenny Omega said ain't going to be no rematch.
Yeah, well, wrestlers sometimes they work, But no, I mean, I think at that point, the show was a lock to be a Grand Slam. I do. There was stuff that I had gripes with. Pillman Jr.'s position on the card was a main one, which put on Patreon. No, I wasn't high on him being on the show, and I didn't think it worked. The one that I just rewatched was Cody and Malachi, which live I didn't love. Just rewatched it, and I really think it's an interesting conversation. Now, before I go any further on this, I want to give a shout out to the pal Maxwell, formerly of RBR fame, who had a great thread at Maxwell Balls on Twitter, if you want to check it out. Had a great thread about Cody and this whole dynamic with Cody. I think previously, Jeremy, it would have been fair to brand me a Codeman apologist on this podcast. I mean, I actually said he would be out until February after he did his retirement gimmick. I've been very kind to Cody. So before we go any further, I think it's fair to say I'm not one of the guys that's like, he's actually Triple H. That's not me. It's never been me. And I think there's nuance to the conversation. Rewatching it, I agree with the consensus that Cody is aware of what's going on and he's turning heel. Before we go any further, Jeremy, do you agree with that perception?
Real quickly, I'm going to go back to Bryan and Omega.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because I listened to a lot of Bryan Danielson interviews this week. He did a lot of media, Joseph. I don't know if you know this. Did a lot of media. He talked about, one of his big talking points was that WWE protected him. They thought he was injury prone, and they just wouldn't let him go out there and just kind of have these matches. We saw him have a little bit previously before he was labeled as injury prone, but certainly the matches we saw him have in like Ring of Honor, right? Like he spoke openly. He did one today where he talked about he took a German suplex from Drew Gulak at Elimination Chamber and he landed rough on it and he got to the back and Vince was mad at him and was like, you can't do that. Like, you just cannot.
That was terrifying, in fairness. That German suplex was horrific. So I get it. But, yeah.
It was. But his overall point is like they were just very protective of him and he couldn't do these type of matches. How much did this man relish just being able to go out there and being like, I'm going to take the dumbest fucking bumps that I've not been able to take. And he's obviously very safe. He's a very safe worker. But he's like, I'm going to take some high-risk stuff that I've not been able to do for the past however many years. And it's going to look great. And the chains are like essentially off of him. Now,
I think, go ahead. No, I just want to say, like, I'm glad you said that about the safety element, because, like, the match was physical more than it was dangerous.
Yeah.
The most dangerous it was when he did the power bomb on the when Kenny just like sort of flung him onto the top rope, and he just that looked a little bit scary. The one on the ramp was like Kenny protecting him perfectly on that. And I don't want to get too inside baseball that stuff, but like, there's there was a physicality and an intensity and an aggression to the match more than there was like a recklessness, right? It's fair to say it was all so well executed. And I think it wasn't. But you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, like stylistically, he was able to stretch his legs in a way that he hadn't been able to do in a while.
You could tell, you mentioned it, like before the bell even rang, and once the bell did ring, like just the smile and the joy on this man's face of like, I'm sure first off, he was happy to be back in front of crowds, right? Like he hasn't wrestled in front of crowds. I mean, Mania is one thing, but otherwise he's been wrestling in the Thunderdome and everything. He was probably just very excited to be back in front of crowds. He was probably very excited to be wrestling Kenny Omega, because it's a big match. He said he called it the biggest match of his career in literally every single interview that he did. But I think this man was just very excited to just kick some fucking heads in. Like, I think he was very excited to wrestle that style that he'd wrestled for so many years on the independents. Mm-hmm. And like, you get that WWE wants to have a safer product. It is what it is, right? Like and with Danielson, especially once they label someone like injury prone and everything, they're going to do their best to protect them with that stuff. So you get it with that, but this man was just very excited to not have those restrictions anymore. And I felt very happy for him. It was a joy. I think Danielson is the GOAT. Like, that is my true, honest, like, pick. I joke on Twitter, like, all right, this person's the GOAT, that person's the GOAT. Like, Danielson's my true, honest pick on that. I felt very happy for him that he got to go out there and wrestle this style, his style, that he became honestly quite famous for during his Ring of Honor run. And
it really was. It's hard to do this conversation without making it seem like we're being mean about his WWE run, which I think is like, we both love that run. But there's just a difference. And, he does take it seriously to him, I think the American Dragon deal is like a real thing. And mentally, he's a different place. Yeah. Josh mentions it, and I touched on it earlier, like,
Joseph is frozen.
Am I back?
There we go. Yeah.
I knew I had frozen. I just had to wait. Josh mentions it, and he's absolutely correct. Like, the commentary, Jim Ross, when he gets a match that he's enjoying and he locks in like this, he's still a thrill. I'm sorry, I still think he's a great presence to have there, but it was extraordinary. Now, I'm seeing in the chat here, and I like it, a lot of talk, because I saw this quite pretty much across the board. People that were there live really enjoyed Cody and Malachi.
Okay.
I rewatched it, and I kind of said this last night, but I can reiterate after rewatch. The work was kind of excellent. Cody was really good in the match. I like the stuff with the leg and all that good stuff. What made the match weird, interesting, was the vibe of the whole thing. So to circle back, Jeremy, do you think, are you with the belief that Cody is in on the bit and it's a matter of time until he turns heel?
I don't think so. I don't think he's actually going to be a quote unquote heel. We no longer live in a world of black and white. He comes up through the middle, Joseph. Like, that's his whole shtick, right? Is that he's not a baby face or a heel. He goes kind of based on just what the crowd is reacting. And like, he played a bit of a heel last night because the crowd was booing him.
He did that, yes.
If the crowd comes back and starts cheering him again, he will feed into that. I think he's just he literally is like, Cody doesn't see color, Joseph. I don't know if you know this. He does not see color.
Here's the thing, okay? I mentioned at Maxwell Ball's Fred Bates, and he talked about the Cody match and the idea that Cody has these big grand matches. Now, this is one thing I will say as an actual criticism. I thought that by the end of that match, it really did just feel like a Cody Rhodes kind of like and this is weird because he lost the match. But I feel like Malachi was just like a mere supporting character in this sort of play, and that's fine, because if he's actually going to go through some sort of transition as a character here, then that's sometimes what you do. Like, it was obviously Arn got upset with him, he hit the referee and all that stuff. And I think the idea is that Malachi is kind of exposing that he's full of shit, which is something that they kind of hinted at with Sting a long time ago, and they never really did because the Shaq stuff took over, and that's all fine, whatever. I don't want him to be Shades of Grey. Like, I think you can really embrace him as a heel and get a lot out of it. because to me, if you look at the roster, he's much more valuable as a top heel than he is as a babyface at this point. Now, you can have him as a heel that doesn't realize he's a bad guy. That's perfect. I don't need it to be like vague though. So like moving forward, but book him against babyfaces, because I get why people are saying Malachi is also not a heel. He's just a cool, like, ass kicker, badass, whatever. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like he like confronted Rosario Dawson. He used Mist to win. Like it feels like Malachi's a heel.
It was, that was total heel stuff on Malachi. The Rosario Dawson stuff, certainly, like using the Mist. I thought he was going to pull the boot out from underneath the ring when he was under there. He's just loading the Mist capsule. But that was a total heel move on Malachi. He's definitely a heel. So you're booking Cody against babyfaces moving forward?
And you've got enough of them, right? Like if you did Cody versus one of the new signings, I wouldn't do that actually because they're too hot. But like, I don't know. So, and you have to deal with
Cody against Sammy Guevara after Sammy wins the TNT title.
That's interesting. We can circle back to the Sammy thing because that's certainly a topic worth doing. But like, I think Cody and Mox would be tremendous. Like Cody and Mox, and Cody kind of taking umbrage with Moxley's promo about being the first guy that jumped, I think would be tremendous. And not having the awareness of like the difference in their runs. Like Bill's Memphis is, I think the idea, him thinking more and more he's a babyface while absolutely being a heel, I think is great. I just don't want him to be against heels anymore. I thought this was a weird dynamic. Like I didn't enjoy it. Now, if you did love it, I get that completely. But I've said a million times on this show, like, I am kind of traditionalist in the sense that I do like a clear-cut good guy, bad guy. And obviously, as Bob O'Neill explained, we no longer live in that world.
We no longer live in a world of black and white. Rather, the landscape has become a canvas of muted grays, where good is indistinguishable from evil, and renegades receive a hero's embrace.
Good stuff. It was just, I just thought it was a weird dynamic. So I thought the middle of the show, first 45 minutes was a 10 with the opener and Punk, obviously. Middle of the show, I'm at a 5-6. And then the last stretch, I'll probably give an 8. I don't know what the mathematics on that work out. I think as soon as the first match ended, it was a win.
Disaster.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I guess again, and I'm gonna do the bit here. Like I'm happy to let it play out with Cody for a little longer. I think we have been doing the heel conversation for a long time though, so like I'm a little bit cautious. I don't want to give him too much credit because again, I've been accused of being an apologist of his before, so I don't want to lose myself in that. I will let it play out. However, you've got to be careful with this deal where like it really even though Malachi went over, I just felt like he was like a backdrop to Cody's shit. And that's, I think in fairness, that may be Malachi's idea of the story too, is that he's exposing Cody, and that's fine. But I wouldn't make I would not make a habit of this kind of, it had, I'll be honest with you, Jeremy, it had a very WWE vibe to me in terms of audience reaction. And frankly, I do not want that on these shows. These shows are generally pretty optimistic and upbeat. I thought it was weird having the heel, and it just made it a strange dynamic. I guess the thing with Code Man is like, what is the actual angle? Does he just cut a promo? It'll be interesting.
I'm into a couple of super chats as a break here, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. JJ says, hello to favorite big stars. Bud Matt is in the impact zone. All hail. We've won. Is he? Paul G accepted. That's how you spell that, JJ. We love you. But
what did I do?
I don't know. Love you both for all the grins. You probably buried TNA, and JJ, he took that personal.
Fair. Do you know they did a pay-per-view main event between Kurt Angle and Sting and sold 7,500 pay-per-views?
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Frank Aguilar says Brian Omega was the best TV match since Brian and AJ. Turns out Brian Danielson's very good at pro wrestling. Also, Bob is amazing. Part of that's true. Agree with that.
The Bob part?
Yeah, the Bob part. Ryan Danielson not good at pro wrestling. Ryan Sullivan, unrelated, but I have to know, Joe. If Joe calls someone a runt, does Jeremy have the candy ready? No, I just have.
I have no idea what that means.
The runt, that's a candy. That's a candy, Joseph.
Okay, sounds good.
Cody, he's
yes, the American Nightmare.
Dude, he's coming out next week, and his eye is gonna start.
Okay, can we establish now whether that's good or bad?
We know Cody likes comic book stuff, right? Like, I don't know if you read this interview where he's like, "Oh, I came out in these." I came out and it was like, this is an ode to Superman. When he changed his hair, when he had the
I remember that.
Yeah, and he's like, this is an ode to Superman and everything. And like nobody picked up on this stuff. But Cody loves that kind of stuff. I think like this eye thing, Cody sees himself as like Spider-Man. You know, he's out there saving the world, swinging and whatnot. He's about to be Venom here, Joseph. He's about to turn into Venom with this mist. That's my prediction. I think we're going Venom.
Okay, let's fantasy book some Cody Rhodes heel turn stuff. Okay, here's a pitch. I'll do so. Firstly, him being so full of shit that he goes to the elite, the super elite, the super click party, and like wants to be pals with them again, pops me tremendously. The idea of that is hilarious to me. I like that. The Pinnacle thing, if I had any interest in MJF as a babyface, I would be sold in on him taking that faction. Because MJF isn't interacting with those guys anymore. That would pop me tremendously. But I don't want MJF to be a babyface, so you can't do it. But like, I don't know. Like, is Cody, is he just on his own with Arn? Because it feels like Arn would break away because Arn was upset with him last night, right? Like, Brandy would be a great heel manager for Cody. But like, do you just leave him on his own other than that? What do you do?
I think you have to go faction with him. I think him leading a faction makes the most sense. And then you go into some type of feud with the Elite at some point. But then, like, Elite's going to turn back babyface at some point, right? Like, they ain't staying heels forever.
I don't know.
Is very, very long term. They got, like, their top heel factions are the Elite and the Pinnacle, even though the Pinnacle, they're very loosely associated right now. Is there a heel faction that Matt Hardy, the Hardy family, right? We love them.
I have my limits. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about
who's in a Cody faction. That's the other thing, is like everyone like has a faction right now. Like, who is there that you could like reasonably slot in this Cody faction?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just him and Brandy. I don't know. I'm
the Dark Order. I've been saying this. He's going
Absolutely.
to lead the Dark Order.
Hester says Team Taz. I don't know, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Taz would say, I'm sorry to hear that.
Joseph, you know who has thoughts on Cody Rhodes?
Rob O'Neill.
He probably does, but you know who has better thoughts on Cody Rhodes? You know who is just much better than Robert O'Neill? He's actually much better than both of us, and thank God he's here to save this fledgling show. Jack Crosby is here, everybody.
Fledgling's good. I think.
Joseph, you want to explain to me why I woke up to feed my kid at 3:30 this morning, Eastern Standard Time, and you left that little video message in my text message?
Hang on.
You want to explain that to me?
But Jack, can we make it clear we're not going to spoil this for anyone else, please?
Yes. I know what this is about. Please do not.
No. I wasn't going to spoil. No.
Jack
Crosby.
Anything.
That was uncalled for. My feelings were hurt. My daughter was offended.
Yeah.
She couldn't even eat her bottle. She wouldn't eat. She was so disgusted with you.
See, I, in the middle of it, realized it was kind of mean. And then I sent that other text later where I was like, I'm sorry. I love you, really. I was trying to get it for content, Jack. Like, I soon then realized that would have been spoiled for me anyway, because of course it would.
Now but, you'll sell me out for content. That's all right. That's fine. That's fine.
Well, that's not news. Let's not pretend that's news.
Yeah.
Brother, that was a 3.5 hour podcast. Content is king. How are you, Jack, anyway?
I'm tired, but
same.
Tired.
That's pretty much the rest of my life now.
Wow.
Welcome to fatherhood, Jack Crosby.
I've come to accept that. That's what it is now.
Jack, is Cody Rhodes turning heel?
No, he's gonna keep doing this little bullshit shtick he does, where he's like, I'm neither face nor heel, black and white shades of gray, blah 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 blah.
Jack,
I seriously,
you know what it is,
I don't.
Jack, you know what it is.
We no longer live in a world of black and white. Rather, the landscape has become a canvas of muted grays, where good is indistinguishable from evil, and renegades receive a hero's embrace.
Yo. The end of that though, did we purposely leave in that deep breath Rob Tate took? Like
Yeah.
he did it so well, and then he goes.
That's the exact thing that I commented on.
That's what makes
No,
the whole bit funny.
I don't-
Otherwise, it's very, it's O'Neal.
I honestly, I don't think I don't think we're ever gonna. Well, I shouldn't say no. Never say never. Wrestling, blah blah. Et cetera, et cetera. But not anytime soon. I think Cody just thinks he can lean into this either way. If the crowd boos him, he'll lean into it a little bit. If they cheer him, he'll lean into that a little bit.
So I don't disagree, but my conclusion was you have to book him against babyfaces moving forward to make the dynamic work. Like, if you do Moxley and Cody, Moxley's not a pure babyface. You just have a conflict, and they can cheer Moxley and it won't be weird. I thought last night was a stretch too far because I just thought it was a strange dynamic. Malachi being the de facto babyface,
That was weird. I want to be serious about it, but that was just weird. I could have, if you asked me like what match on that show I could have done without, I'm not even going to say MJF and Pillman. I could Cody and Black. I think. I think.
Hey, Crosby, fucking rein it in a little bit, pal.
No, there was no need for that. It was just, and it was weird. It was awkward. At least like MJF, you give him a win in New York City, whatever. But
but
Cody and Black is just like
that long against that opponent.
Yeah.
That was.
We're gonna.
I'm not going to sell Jack out for content and read out the text he sent my way during the MJF match. I'll just leave it there. But,
JJ is popped for Jack. The legend returns.
And he's tremendous.
Hannah, they said, "Congrats, Jack. You'll never not be tired again."
Sorry to hear that.
Dude, I just like these sleep patterns. But it's funny because like now the shoe's on the other foot. Like I wake up at 4:00 in the morning and I'm feeding the baby and I'm thinking to myself, should I just call Joe? He's up. Maybe we'll just call Uncle Joey. I look down at her. I'm like, let's just call Uncle Joey. He's up. You want to FaceTime Uncle Joey?
Please do that, man. That will rule so much. I want to give you, like, we just had a conversation about the Kenny Bryan match, but it feels worth giving you the floor for that, Jack. Like, so I will turn my phone about and saw your text survey in our fan group chat.
That I'm not part of.
You're not part. Fucking ruled so much, right, Jake? Talk about it a little bit. It was incredible.
That was holy shit. It was so refreshing to watch a television wrestling match like that and get lost in it.
Yeah.
Because I will, like, I'll give AEW this. I did not know how much time was left in that match. Like, I did not know they were approaching the 30 minutes. And and you guys know how much I watch the times in some of these matches. Yeah. Like, I'm the man who's against, like, somebody in my mentions yesterday said 60-minute Iron Man matches. I'm like, I don't give a shit if it's Jesus Christ himself. 60-minute matches should be thrown out the window. There's no need for that. I don't care if it's Bryan Danielson. No need for 60-minute professional wrestling matches. But I didn't. When they mentioned it on commentary and I looked at my watch, I was like, holy shit. Like, these dudes went ahead. It didn't even feel like 10 minutes, the show they were putting on. Now, I saw a lot of people say the greatest televised wrestling match in history. I don't know about that. There have been a lot of them, and you have to take some into context. Like I said, somebody mentioned the first Clash of the Champions, Sting and Ric Flair. I mean, you could say that. Like, you could say that's the greatest televised match in history because of what it did for Sting. Like,
significance of it, yeah.
That match literally created an icon in wrestling. That match,
yes,
like that springboarded Sting.
Like, mechanically, it's not as good, but your point is in terms of significance and its impact. Yeah, it's a different. Like, I get you. Yeah.
You give us a dream match, but like that's catapulted a legend in the industry. But definitely like the last 15, 20 years, I would not be against anyone saying that was the best televised match we've seen in that time span.
How crazy is it that Sting was on the show last night?
If you think about it, sometimes like. And I saw people mention that too. Like, they're like, yo, there's a television show right now that has CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and Sting. And we say it with AEW all the time. AEW just gives us a bunch of these moments where it's like, go back and tell someone 5 years ago, 10 years ago that this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. They'll think you're nuts. And yet it just keeps happening over and over and over. I mean, it'll be like when people say, look at this, Bray Wyatt and Sting on the same show.
Sorry to hear that. We'll go a step further. I mean, if you said a year ago that they'd be in this position, if you said a year ago they were in this position, it was crazy. Right. All fresh stadium, Bryan, Punk, Sting.
By the way, I don't know if you guys covered it, but they should definitely do Arthur Ashe every year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Tony
agree.
said that he wants to make it an annual event.
They should.
I think what they're going to end up doing is, with the quarterly specials, I feel like Arthur Ashe is going to be like a quarterly special type
That'd be
deal
good.
because I think
That'd
they're
be a
going to
good
do
idea.
less Dynamite specials with the quarterly specials, so they'll ramp
Because
those up.
they're not starting those. They're not starting the quarterly specials until next year, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that should definitely be one of them.
Should we quickly? I mean, again, we reviewed this last night, but Jack hasn't had a chance to because he was too busy getting abuse from me in the group chat.
that I'm not playing.
Dude, FTR, one of their crowning achievements. I thought how wonderful they were this last night. I thought they were just fabulous. And Sting inexplicably worked most of the match because he's just the greatest, and he wants it to be good so bad, and it was good. Sting is incredible, man. It can't be overstated. I actually did a little feature about this a couple hours back here on a whim because it just. I don't think it can be overstated how special it is that Sting is still as kind of important as he is on TNT on a professional wrestling program. Like it feels like redemption to him, right, Jack? There's something to that. There's a historical context to it for sure.
Because like the WWE run, like people said it was a failure. I don't think it was a failure. I think it made good money for Steve Borden as a man. I think he made good money off of that going with them for a little bit, and it was good for WWE. But the in-ring, that's where it failed massive. Like the partnership as a whole wasn't a failure. Like each side made out in some form, just not the in-ring part. Because you're right, because that's what this is for right now. It's redemption for Sting. And the only thing that caught my eye last night, Joseph, I think I said this to you last night. It kind of dawned on me for the first time. I don't know why. Darby Allin's going to retire him, isn't he? Sting's going to let Darby retire him for good. I don't know when it's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be like next month, maybe not even next year, but eventually Darby's going to be the one to retire him.
It's definitely something to think about. I don't know how he physically feels. Stinks. It's very hard to read where he's at, right? Like when he worked the Men of the Year match, that was a match that I think he can work pretty often because Darby basically took the whole heat and Sting came in and made the hot tag, right? Yeah. Last night wasn't that. Like he was wrestling with Cash and Dax, right? Like he was just in there with him. So I don't know.
Because back to your original point, FTR are very, very fantastic professional wrestlers. Yeah. I am so sick and tired of seeing, especially I am so fudging fed up.
You can say fuck. What are you, WWE Danielson?
He's got a kid, Jeremy.
No, I am fed up because I saw you get the retweets that's from these people you don't want to see in your timeline. You see them.
Do you see my timeline right now, Jack? Everyone hates me.
Well, that's your own fault. You did that to yourself.
Why is this my fault?
You actively bait people and then get confused that they have taken your bait. Seems bad.
I don't get confused. I find it hilarious. It's hilarious to me.
No, you're right.
How excited were FTR to just like wrestle Sting? You know, they were backstage awesome just being like, who's taking this move? Who's taking that move? Like, bless them.
But people call them like jobbers to the stars. I says jobbers to the stars. Get the fuck out of here. Please.
Yeah, I just that stuff's, Like,
also, they AEW slapped the tag titles on them like the second they walked through the door. Like,
yeah, like it's also a case of like look at how good that tag division is. Not everyone's going to get the maximum. Like it is what it is, right? You got to share it a little bit.
Santana and Ortiz still have not had those tag titles.
Exactly.
Still, they're going to, but still, like
seems like they've got next. But your point is exactly that. Yeah. Should we do some questions now, Jeremy, while we have Jack here, or do you want to do some super chats first, and then we'll get to our wonderful questions from twitter.com?
Well, we do have a question.
Okay.
Chase says, off topic of wrestling, since Jack and Joe are here, how do you guys see the Joshua fight going on Saturday?
Should we just do this here, Jack, and just throw out the whole program?
Yeah, Joseph and we're sorry for anybody who did, because I know people do there are people out there who do like our boxing opinions, and Joe and I just, like, again, my time understandably is cut pretty short these days. I was lucky to even make it here today. But no, Joe and I, we're going to do a show just on, maybe we'll do a post show if I have time, but we'll see. Can't promise it. I see about 8-9 rounds of Usyk boxing with him. And then I think, because Usyk, especially in the fight with Derek, I can see him getting a little bit tired, and that's what AJ thrives on. AJ will carry you for a little bit until you get tired. And then probably around 9 or 10 is when Usyk, I think this isn't going decision. I think AJ is going to TKO. Nothing like viral meme where like he's not gonna put him to sleep, but AJ will start getting his shots in around 9 or 10, and the ref's going to have to step in and go, okay. But don't forget, Usyk is just getting into the heavyweight division right now. This guy's had a meteoric rise through the cruiserweight division where he basically ran roughshod through it and had no choice but to step up and weight here. He'll be back. Like, this isn't going to be the last you see of him, but it's going to be a good jumping off point for him. But AJ TKO probably 9 or 10.
It's very interesting that it appears that Joshua has leaned out for this fight in order to shorten the speed gap, and Usyk has put muscle on to shorten the strength gap. Right, that's been an interesting dynamic. My instinctual prediction when the fight was made was what you just said, so I'm not against it. The closer we get, I really think there's a chance that this ends up being a controversial decision, Jack. I think there's a chance that on the back foot, Usyk box a fight that boxing fans appreciate and the judges in London don't, and I could see us ending up with one of those nights. I don't know. I think it's a great fight that probably people are sleeping on because it isn't the fight they wanted of Fury and Joshua. You know, like Usyk is, I mean, you laid it out there, undisputed cruiserweight champ. And the thing too is people look at the Chisora fight. I love that we're doing this. This is tremendous. What a bit. The Chisora fight isn't a great gauge because, as you know, Derek fights very unique style at heavyweight. He's forward. Joshua's not going to do that, right? He's going to edge forward. He's not going to jump all over him like that. I really think this is, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50. I think Joshua's the clear favourite, but like Usyk's really in this fight, man. I wouldn't be surprised because those middle rounds where Joshua is previously tired, if he's struggling to match the punch output of Usyk, man, I think this could get really, really interesting.
The thing that I'm a big AJ guy. I've said that a lot here. I'm not going to be mad if Usyk happened to even pull out the win. Because, we still don't want that Wilder AJ Fury AJ. Usyk's personality, like if he beats Anthony Joshua, that's instant notoriety. Look what happened to Andy Ruiz. He became a superstar, overnight because of what he did. If Usyk does the same thing, but Usyk has the personality to go with it. So he'll be able to sell people on a potential fight with Fury or Wilder. I mean, he'll probably have to do AJ again. But even if he comes out of this, the undisputed champion, when all said and done, it's not a bad thing.
Right. No, he's great. Yeah, I absolutely agree. So final predictions, you're going Joshua, what do you say, 9-10 around there?
9 or 10. Yeah.
I'm going to take Joshua by controversial judges' decision. Jeremy?
Anthony Joshua, 5th round, corner stoppage.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. Bold. Are we ready for some Twitter questions, guys?
No, we've got to talk about it's in the headline, so I've got to at least mention it. WWE Extreme Rules is on Sunday. Joseph, give me the 3 matches you are most excited for on this card, Joseph.
Okay. Alexa and Charlotte, legitimately.
Okay.
Bianca and Becky, because I'm intrigued what the result is. I really am intrigued what they do booking-wise there. And granted, it may be because it's the only other match I know on the card, but Finn and Roman's is I assume that'll be objectively good. I don't love the Demon, but whatever. I think Charlotte and Alexa have done a great job of building that thing, and I didn't know how that was going to click. The character dynamic is hard there. I think they've had good television segments, so I'm happy to watch it. It'll be good.
15,000 people just ignored us as we started talking about Extreme Rules.
More likely the boxing than anything. Look at Jack. Look at Jack's pretending to video game.
That's what I'm saying. Jack.
Listen,
give us your thoughts on Extreme Rules.
There's a new rule with me on this show. You do not talk World Wrestling Entertainment unless it's about Rick Steiner Jr. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it.
Do you about Braun Breaker?
Yeah, his name's Braun Breaker.
I refuse. I refuse. Look, maybe after I refuse. To me, he's Rick Steiner. That's not even his real name, but he's Rick Steiner Jr. Actually, since he's more like Uncle Scott, I'm going to just start calling him Rick Scott Steiner Jr.
Rick Scott Steiner Jr.
There will be no WWE discussion unless he's involved. Is he going to beat Roman Reigns on Sunday? That's all I give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Jeremy, what match are you most excited for? Oh, he's going to do it. Here we go.
I'll say I do have a thought. I think that they should put the title on Fergal on Sunday.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. You
I
know
think
they're
they
not.
should. I think
They
they
might
should.
actually do that.
I think you could do it in a way.
Are you
especially
guys? What drugs are you guys doing?
I
think
think yes. Go ahead, Jack.
Brock and Roman doesn't need. The only thing is Brock. When I was thinking about this, because I don't watch so I missed this, but I saw a Twitter clip where Brock told Paul, "I want a Universal title shot." Where I was like, "Ah, shit," because I was thinking like Roman Brock does not have to be for the title. It doesn't have to be. So Fergal with the you don't have to hurt the Demon. You could do this in a way where you get the title on Fergal as the Demon, do Brock Roman, and then I don't know, revisit at some point. But I hate the idea of like the Demon still has not lost. Still.
I think he's
Samoa
lost.
Joe beat
No,
him.
he's lost. Yeah, Samoa Joe beat him.
Yeah.
Well, on main roster, I meant.
Remember
Yeah,
him?
Joe did.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. I think there's a chance, to your point, Jay, I think there's a chance they do the Brock. I think there's a chance they do the Brock Eddie finish with Brock in the place of Goldberg. That made any sense.
That's all you have to do, really. Because I'll be honest with you. I've told you guys a million times, and now it's out the window. I thought Big E should have been the guy to dethrone Roman. I didn't give a shit about anything. Big E was the only person I was somewhat invested in, even as someone who doesn't watch that company. He was the only person I was invested in to dethrone, to end this reign of terror that Roman Reigns is on. And now that's out the window. So I really don't care. I don't care who beats Roman. Don't give a shit. Well, unless it's Braun Breaker, Rick Scott Steiner Jr.
Jeremy,
Braun Breaker.
what match are you most excited for at AEW Extreme Rules Clash of Champions?
Becky and Bianca. I want to see how they actually book that match. Because SummerSlam was obviously, it was what it was. I want to see how they book it. I know they've worked a lot on live events. I've seen the finish on live events. I hope that's not the route they go for this match. Got a feeling that might be the route that they go for this match. But I'm still most excited for that match. I think you give them time, it should be good. I am intrigued by Charlotte and Alexa. I am intrigued. I like their segment on Monday, and Alexa works well when she can work with Charlotte and show like real fire against her. And Charlotte actually will like. I think she likes working with Alexa.
Yeah,
so she won't just completely kick her in the face and move on.
Listen, man, I've said it before, and I completely get why Alexa will never be the centerpiece of a conversation about who's misused, because we all know they love her, right? She's always on TV, so I get it. But, like, it's been about a year since she started doing this Bray stuff, Fiend stuff, Funhouse stuff. And, like, to me, the idea that she's not even just a float, she's, like, actually over and selling merchandise and connecting with people, I think it's crazy. Like, genuinely, she's done a great job just keeping that shit moving, because that wasn't easy when Bray was there. But when Bray got cut, that thing could have completely collapsed, right? So, good for her. I hope she wins. I think she should, because Charlotte's champ is, like it doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't it validate everything Alexa says?
Good.
Like, you don't have the title.
Alexa's right.
I mean, that kind of does.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's kind of proven her point, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great that Alexa, like, Charlotte shot for like a second. Alexa, like, I'm dropping this whole character and just
she gave up. She gave up the little cute voice and everything. And it's like, no, I'm just shooter Alexa Bliss.
Oh hell, man! Peak Paulie dangerously stuff. Guys, are we ready for some Twitter questions?
Well, first we have a question from the super chat.
She's a great
Baker says, "Who gets a bigger pop at Arthur Ashe next year, Steen or Ferg?"
I'm not. What reason does see? That's as much as Fergal Devitt. I don't think has a reason to leave WWE. I think he's happy. I think he's happy. I don't think I'd love to see him, but I don't think it seems happy.
This man wanted to go to NXT UK over going back to Raw and SmackDown. I don't know how happy he is.
I think the politics and the way they do their TV tires him somewhat. I'll be honest, though, I try not to think about it, because him in AEW pops me too much to consider. Like, it's not good for my health, There's so much storytelling you could do with that, man. Like, him coming as the original Bullet Club leader, like, it's crazy the story you could tell. But anyway, that's fine. Guys, are you ready for some Twitter questions?
Yeah, I have no idea what these are, even though I'm the one who tweeted it that you sent me.
Okay, when they asked, he said he'd not know how to have Jack Crosby here, so they must be really excited right now. Tony L says, do you think Dark and Elevation should have their own title or titles? And who should be the first champion for the new women's title? Before we go here, there was Josh also asked who should be the first TBS champ. And the Pal Laura said the same and suggested Shida and Ruby as the first TBS title match. Jack, if you're not aware, I think you sent it in the chat, right?
Yeah,
The TBS,
I
okay.
saw.
So, what was the first part of that question? I've already forgotten. We'll get to that after.
Should Darker Elevation have a title?
Well, I think if you frame it correctly, where it's like the young lion thing, I think it could be fun. I'm not desperate for it personally. I don't know. Where are you guys at on that?
No, I think just do TNT title defenses on there every
Yeah.
once in a while. Just like back in the day, WCW used to do like.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Yeah.
That's just shit like the US title. Do it on there.
I also think if you do make the trios titles eventually, they would be perfect as like C-show main events. You know the way that New Japan would use the Never Own Weight 6 man, like that. You could do that. So I think that's where I'm at on that. Jeremy, you with us on that deal?
Yeah, I do like your thought on like kind of a Young Lions thing. Like maybe do like some type of like tournament on these shows.
That could be
like
the Owen, I think.
Yeah, with like the kind of enhancement guys, and then the winner of it gets kind of like a permanent spot, gets a contract and everything. I think you can do something like that. I don't need an actual title on those shows though.
Okay, so the TBS title, just we'll go more detail after, but first, instinctual reaction, I say who should be the first TBS champion? Jeremy Lambert.
Anna Jay.
Jack Crosby.
Ruby.
This is hard, man. I was going to say Ty Conti, so I'm kind of torn.
I'm not falling into the same trap I did when AEW started, which is I thought Hangman Page should have been the first champion, and I was against the veteran Chris Jericho holding that title. But as it turned out, putting the title on Jericho to start with the way things went and the plans they had was the perfect choice. I think putting it on someone, a veteran like Ruby, helps establish it perfectly. And then down the road, someone like a Tay, because I was going to say Tay Conti, but then down the road, like you give it, Ruby can carry, she'll be great with it. And then you start to let others have their turn with it.
And that's kind of what they did with the TNT title, right? Like they put it on Cody at the start, and like they make the TNT title very important. It does not feel like a secondary title. And if you put it on Ruby immediately, who's just coming off, main eventing this show, it would not feel like a secondary title right off the jump. So I get the thought on Ruby Soho being the first champ.
I would be tempted by heel, pissed off, disrespected Shida as TBS champion. Just having matches every week across their 4 programs and just beating. I mean, I think she'd be great at that. I think we've seen this belt, and PW outside saying it's a tag title. I don't know. We're just going down this particular lane right now. But if it's a singles title, I think we've seen this usage employed before when they had the NWA title, right? Do you remember when Serena was the NWA champion and she basically gave the weekly TV a chance to have great like TV matches, right? Like I remember
a good choice too.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
She had great matches with that role. She could do the same thing here. I think it could really help to have like Britt Baker is a star, which is the most important thing in professional wrestling. Okay. Weight their worth and go. Stars. However, she isn't someone I want wrestling on TV every week. Honestly. Okay. If you can give this TBS title to the division's best like mechanic, pure professional wrestler, I think it could really unlock the division and add some different. And frankly, they have enough women in terms of numbers. I really think it could be a huge win for the division, but then we have to see it in action. I don't know. Tags, same thing. I think tags could also help, but we shall see. Any final thoughts on that before I move on to another question, assuming there are other good questions?
No, move on.
Sorry to hear that. Venus Blue, unknown member of our community. Who should Miro go after next? And is there anything better than his love of God and his flexible wife? There's not anything better. I'm really tempted by the idea of Sammy beating him. Am I crazy for that, guys? Where are we at on Sammy beating Miro?
I just can't see it happening on Wednesday.
Okay.
But which is like a catch-22 because it is the TNT title.
Yeah.
But they've made it, like Jeremy said, they've made it so important, you expect a change on a pay-per-view.
Has it ever changed?
This is such an important title.
What is the lineage in terms of title changes? Has it usually been on Dynamite?
Cody
won the first one on Double or Nothing, right? Yeah. Then he dropped it to Brody on TV. Mm-hmm. It's mostly been on TV, I think.
Then he won it back on TV.
He dropped it to Darby. Darby was
Darby
a
pay-per-view, yeah. But Darby dropped it on TV. So it's a mixed bag.
On TV.
I mean, the AEW title is a mixed bag. That was one pay-per-view, one television.
Yeah. I don't know. Like 4 or 5 weeks mentioned Jungle Boy, and that is my actual response. Is you just let Miro keep the belt for another 3-4 months, and you do Jungle Boy as his first big win. But I think Jungle Boy is going to get the big win of beating Christian in a handful of months here. Sammy's a lot more over than his actual presentation has kind of suggested the last few months. He's kind of been in the background, right? Like, because Jericho's stepped back forward for the MJF feud. I think Sammy would be a very deserving TNT champ. Like, people love him, man. He's so over with that audience. So I wouldn't be against it. I'm not, living and dying. I'm intrigued.
The Dynamite numbers are out.
4 million.
What do we got? 10 million?
15.
You guys want to give actual guesses?
1.3.
1.6.
Wow. Jack going really high. They are 1.273 with a 0.48 demo.
Mm-hmm. That's about what it's put.
That sounds about right.
I didn't, I think people talking, so bless Jack, getting excited, but, here's what it is, right? It's TV. Okay, questions here. I'm looking here. I'm scrolling quickly. If I missed something.
I did not answer the question from.
Sorry, go ahead.
That person.
Yep.
I think you keep the title on Miro forever, and I think that he should also win the AEW championship.
I'm dead serious, Jeremy. After last night, I did think to myself, Brian takes the title from Kenny, and you get a champion versus champion program with Brian and Miro.
For it. I'm for anything with legitimately, and I've said this many times, that drop the title to whoever. Sammy, fine. But once Hangman wins that title, Miro beats him the next Dynamite. This is I'm all in on this, Joseph. He wins it the next Dynamite. He celebrates with his flexible wife who loves pain and sometimes pleasure, or pleasure and sometimes pain. Sorry, if we got that wrong. That's what he said last night. Don't give me that look, Joseph. This God loves pain. His wife loves pleasure and sometimes pain. Okay.
Question from Reese. Would you rather the Owen be a Young Lion style tournament or a G1 kind of deal? Also, should the trophy break as the ultimate rib? That'd be good stuff. No, look, I like the Young Lions thing, but I do think my answer is probably in the middle here, unfortunately. I think you do just the epic knockout tournament with your top guys. I think is what you do. I'm not against the G1 thing. I just think I don't know how it works across like your TV, how you do that. I think you just do 16-man knockout tournament with your top guys, and you make it seem like the biggest honor you could get. That's what I would personally do. I don't know, Jack, where are you at on that?
No, top guys. You go top guys because you make it prestigious.
Okay, Jeremy, you agree?
I think you go top guys as well. Who's the first winner of this thing?
Kevin Steen. Yeah.
I don't want to cop out, but Joe stole my answer, Kevin Steen.
Are you guys just saying that because like Canadian?
Oh, and his kids.
Yeah, I get it, but like
his kids, he named it. He's his favorite wrestler.
You guys, he's not in the company. How's he going to win a tournament?
Jeremy, come on. He's going to be there by the time this tournament starts. Come on.
It's going to be next. It's going to be next May.
Guys, he's not there. He's not.
It's going to take place in Calgary too.
He can't win a tournament he's not part of.
Come on now, please. Okay, any predictions on how the Omega Hangman program is going to play out from here? I think my instincts are that I'll tell you what I want, and then I'll tell you what I think. I would like Hangman to come back and reinsert himself, climb the ladder, and win the title at Full Gear. I think there is a chance that Hangman comes back and wins the Full Gear tournament thingy they did last year to become number one contender, and then beats Kenny on television. That's my instincts. I'm easy either way. I think they just need to be careful. Whatever he does when he comes back, it needs to feel big time. Jeremy, I know you've been a bit concerned about that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm even more concerned after they did the draw last night because that sets up for the rematch. I actually like that Kenny tweeted, ain't going to be no rematch. I don't think you need to go right back to this Omega Danielson thing. I think Omega, here's kind of what I would do. I like your idea of the tournament, Joseph. We kind of all agree that Hangman's coming back this week, right? Rochester show, Dark Order, everything. Kind of think Hangman's coming back. I like the idea of the tournament. Hangman beats Danielson in the finals of the tournament to earn the title shot. and then you can prolong the Danielson. That thing doesn't need a title. They're just trying to
That's
figure out
fair.
who the best in the world is. That's how Hangman gets his title shot against Omega. Who does Omega face at the pay-per-view off of that? I think you can go back to the Orange Cassidy stuff fairly easy, even though they've put Orange on the back burner and he's going to get his head shaved by Matt Hardy.
Sorry to hear that. Jack, what do you think?
I'm kind of in the same boat Jeremy is. I just think no matter what, like last night got me to a point where I said, if Bryan Danielson beats Kenny Omega for the AEW title, I'm not going to be mad. It won't anger me, but I still think Hangman Page has to be the one to beat Kenny Omega for that title.
Yeah.
He has to be. And then what happens after that, he has to be the man who takes that title from Kenny. And I think they're going to do it because AEW, they don't insult our intelligence. They're going to give us what we want, and it's going to be Hangman. But Brian, at least last night, what I like, because I agree with Jeremy too. You don't have to immediately do the rematch. You gave people a taste of what those two can do last night. Now make people wait a little bit more to see it again.
Also fits Kenny that he would not be rushing to do a rematch, right? Like, you know, he wrestled at the absolute top of his game, and Brian took him to the distance and almost had him at the end. It's like, I absolutely agree.
I will say one thing about Kenny that just amazes me. I pointed it out to my wife last night. Like the way he can do the little things. Like I know we make fun of like, you know, hidden messages with like Malachi Black and his friggin' lore and shit like that. That's a little too much. But did you notice Kenny shaved the stupid beard? He took the stupid colors out of his hair, and he was serious because he knew this was a serious threat.
He was very serious.
He wasn't goofy. I noticed that the beard was shaved, the colors were all out of the hair, and it was the same thing with the promo last week. Just the white T-shirt, the beard was trimmed up a little bit, and then last night
it wasn't white. Jack Crosby, you're gonna get dorks in your mentions who tell you that there was some little design on it, and it wasn't a white T-shirt. All right,
brother, you need to calm down.
Go outside, go get some fresh air or something.
Yes, that goes for both you, Jeremy, and the people that are upsetting you. Please calm down.
Again, I have a 1-month-old. My tolerance for bullshit is much, much, much lower than it was before.
Okay, there was another one here that popped me. Okay, from Kevin. Of the Grand Slam show, what's the biggest matchup AEW has they haven't already done? And he says, to be clear, Hangman obviously winning the title from Kenny is big, but that matchup has already happened. Great question. My answer, and I don't want to, sorry guys, but I think this is fair to say all of our answers. I'm going to speak for us. Dude, like Punk and Omega is fucking huge. That's surely the match, right?
Sting versus Tully Blanchard.
But imagine, come on, Punk and Omega. To me, that's the obvious answer. I'd be tempted to do that at Full Gear, especially if you do the thing Jeremy said, where like at Full Gear you do Bryan and Page as the main event. As the tournament final, and then the title match. Like because the thing is, Hobbs is tomorrow. Like Starks, I assumed it'd be Full Gear, but that's 7 weeks away. You know, like I just think the story of Punk trying to win the big one, man, and try to complete this epic comeback. I mean, that's money. It's a mega match to me. And Kenny Omega at this point, if you got any doubts that he belongs in that kind of match, I don't know what to tell you, all right? Like, I think that's the obvious answer. I don't know what we got. Any others?
Punk might stay away from Kenny as long as he could because he's really feeding into this. You people thought I was going to come in here and immediately take the title, didn't you? No. I'm going to work with all of these dudes first before I even get there. And then I'm going to be the unofficial hype man of the shows. I love how Punk comes out. He's like, hey, did you guys see that shit? That was awesome, wasn't it?
He went more to CM Punk last night than happy-go-lucky Phil. And I think he's going to continue to get pushed to that limit. And at some point, he is going to go, and it might be at Full Gear with the Omega stuff. He's going to go like, you know what? I've beaten these young guys. I am the fucking best in the world. Give me Omega. At some point, that's going to happen. And then, Omega should beat him, especially if the title's on the line. Omega, still the champ, hasn't lost to Hangman. And then we'll see where CM Punk goes from there. The true biggest matchup is the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Lucha Bros, against the number one contenders, Sting and Darby Allin.
Confirm Shoot pitched this last night, and you guys are both so mean. Like, why do you want that to happen to Sting? We'll go very poorly.
Who takes more bumps, Sting or Penta?
Penta would like a chop from Penta would legitimately put Sting in the hospital. Dude. He kicks the shit out of people. You don't look. Watch that feed last night that Cash and Dax give Sting, bro. That was incredible, man. And look, the Lucha Bros. This is not a slight on them. They're one of the greatest teams in the world, but they have a particular style that Sting doesn't need to be playing with at this point. At any point in his life, frankly, but especially at 62 years of age.
When Penta gives Sting a chop, he'll be begging for a Seth Rollins buckle bomb.
He will, dude. He will. It's a story. The other day he did it on Dart, and Taz was like, or as we call it, a home run. Like it makes that much sound. It's a real thing. The boy there, just look into it, okay? Anyway, Sarah, I've guided us to the hour mark so we can bring Bob on so he can save the show and get us home.
Sorry to hear that.
History final.
Hello, Robert O'Neill.
What's up,
Look at
guys?
this.
Hi, Jack.
Dang is here.
Bravo!
What's up, pal?
What's going on?
It's good to see you, man.
You too. I miss you.
I don't even DM you that much anymore because you're busy with stuff, man.
Are you not part of this group
Bob,
chat,
you just
O'Neill,
DM'd me
that
last
I'm not
night.
part of?
No, I was gonna DM you like while they were talking about that. Be like, Jack, Joseph, and Shoot have a group chat. I need to just start DMing you more since we're not included.
Yeah, these dicks. O'Neill, I do have a question for you. This was
What's
sent
up?
in by Luis Polito, and he just wants to know, why is Bob O'Neill a sorry piece of shit?
Wow. I mean, that's fair. You know, I
actually have other questions, Bob. Would you like me to do them?
I do have a brief announcement that I haven't told anyone about, including you two. So,
Are you getting married?
no.
Congrats.
Is Mrs. O'Neill pregnant?
Also, no.
Well, okay.
Yeah, no, just a
Have
brief.
Have you
statement.
signed? Have you signed for WWE?
Also, no. I'm
Have
also
you
not
reported? Have you reported
Can you
to the
just
performance
let
center?
him say the
Hang
announcement?
on, can I go through the apostrophe release here? Have you reported to the
Alright.
performance center?
not yet.
Have you been drafted by MLW?
Also, no.
No. Okay. Are you all elite?
Maybe, but
Is
okay,
the Fed dead?
Yeah.
I can't say that here.
One
That's
day.
facts.
No, but starting next Thursday, September 30th, the Robert O'Neill Corner 3 will be the internet's exclusive home for weekly 3-minute Road to the Top reviews.
Yeah!
People were asking for it.
No!
I did not want to do it. I was resisting, but it's also hard to come up with other things to talk about every week. So,
Tell me
I
about it.
got so excited.
yeah, give the people what they want, right?
That's right. That
Indeed.
is definitely what the people
So-
want.
Are we not doing for? Are we just going to do the questions that people have for Bob? Is that what we're going to do today?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Will Bob struggle on the bump when interchangeable host number 2 inevitably targets his knee?
Yes. Yeah, no. That's really a big barrier for me going on the bump. I think that's the only barrier.
Indeed. It's not like you need to have any skill. This is a question from Robert O'Neill. I'm going to throw this one to you, Jake. He says,
Oh, no.
how cool they
Uh-oh.
are.
Oh, you're
Say that
fucking
again,
froze.
Joseph.
I know when it's happening. It's very scary. Bob O'Neill says, can you rank the members of the Distraction Extended Universe by how cool they are? And I assume that universe is us four, the confirmed shoot, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 of the least cool men in the world.
Bobo number 1.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
Shoot number 2.
Wow.
Jeremy 2B. Joseph. You can kindly fuck off after that video message you sent me last night, so you don't even get right.
I deserved it. That's fine. Jeremy, is there any characters I missed from the extended universe of the Distraction?
I feel like we got a lot of
Wait, do we
extended
count like
characters.
Kate and
I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, Anna, she's part of it. My mom is
Kate,
now
Anna.
part of the universe.
Jeremy's
Denise,
mom.
Sean, like my mom called you a future Hall of Famer last week, Jack.
did she really?
Yes. Watch the product.
I can't, guys. I'm lucky I get to watch Dynamites anymore. You had to see me
Oracle.
last night watching that show.
Oracle, he's in the extended universe, the Oracle of Wrestling, right? He's
Oh,
got to be
God.
above. He's got to be above Bob.
Yeah, he rules.
We can count Dylan.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, that was incredible when he came. Do you remember that, bro?
That was so much
Amazing. Rishi says, do you have photographic or video evidence of Robert O'Neill in a Ruby Soho wig? And why is that not this week's thumbnail? Interesting question.
What?
Bob?
No, we don't actually have that.
Has Bob started wearing those gigantic Stone Cold Steve Austin knee braces when he goes to wrestling shows yet?
I should. Struggle, man.
I'm looking here if there's any others directly for Bob. It doesn't appear to be the case. All right, Bob, I think that's your 3 minutes. Do you want to just stay? Not that we're doing anything here.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I do want. I saw, Chris, Music and Moonsaults put up a super chat. I did do a show with him the other day. You want to go watch that? Talked about Mankind against Shawn Michaels from Mind Games. Really good match. I think we had a really fun time. You want to go check that out? Just told me I need to plug my stuff more. So,
Did I?
What would you give that match, Daniel?
Like in terms of stars, or I mean,
Or the O'Neill rating scale. It can be stars. It can be cowboy hats. Whatever you give out.
I think it's a very good match. I just don't like that it doesn't have a finish. Like, I don't like the DQ finish in a main event. They did a good job with it, but I just don't like that, like, as a rule.
It's more the way they do the DQ. Like, Vader comes down real late, right? Doesn't it look really messy? I forget. Anyway, yeah. Jack, do you remember Mind Games? You was around back then, right? Were you at Mind Games, Jack? Did you work that show?
What year was that? 96?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was 12.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
It's exposing the business here.
What do you mean expose his age? It's not...
No?
I was 12. That was another one. How it used to go is I'd wake up in the morning on Sundays. I'd be like, Mom, Dad, can you buy this for me? They'd be like, no. And then by 6 o'clock, they'd be like, all right, you got it. Go ahead, turn it on. I don't know why they used to always do that to me. And then I'd know they were going to do it. And even back then, it was like $20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was back when shows were $20. I'd just beg all day, and they'd be like, no. And then about 6 o'clock, they'd be like, all right, you got it. Go ahead, watch.
Was you a World Championship Wrestling guy when, like, because that 96 is, the NWA angle has been shot, the whole deal.
I've been watching. I was watching the WCW in '87, brother.
Sorry to hear that. Okay, it's fine.
Listen to me. I want to make this really clear. I remember Ronnie Garvin being the NWA champion. Okay.
Yeah, not many people do remember that, so that's interesting.
Guys, I got breaking news. Sam Roberts knows I exist.
Sorry to hear that. What happened?
He replied to my Danielson tweet. I don't want these people knowing I exist.
Did he quote tweet you or did he reply?
He replied.
I got to see this. I have your tweet right here, actually. Somebody.
Have you considered not doing this to yourself?
No,
Good call.
It's funny.
I mean, yeah, no, it is. Like, I do it too, but
it's really funny to me.
175 retweets, 2,547 likes, 129 replies. Not bad, Jeremy.
It's freaking over. I'm really good at Twitter, guys. Like, I'm just really good at it.
I mean, no, you're not. No, and inviting lunatics into your mentions is not being good at Twitter. Being good at Twitter is staying out of trouble in the best way you can without
that's boring.
Without bringing shame to the brand that rests in your bio, brother. That's what you don't want to do.
Boring.
You never want to be the guy that gets quote tweeted with Twitter being like, Fightful again, LOL. Like, you don't want that.
I don't.
You see the stuff Sean does?
It'd be two different dynamics for me. Like, I tweet out outlandish wrestling shit, but why the frig do I care? I'm a college football. I work in college football. Why do I give a shit what people? But if I worked in professional wrestling media like you guys do all the time, that'd probably get exhausting for me. But me, I'm like, what the frig do I care? I'm going back to my college football world. Shut up.
Jack, our enemies are scared of us, though, right? Like, poor Bob, they can just dunk on Bob. But us, we could basically tweet one. They just mute us. It's fine. Right, Bob?
yeah, pretty much.
Bob had to log on yesterday to tell someone that people actually like AEW and it's not a rib.
I also had to tell people today that, like, the Brock Lesnar Kurt Angle Iron Man match isn't as good as they remember it being, but
Yeah, dude, I'm not even doing the like wrestling is subjective thing. If you think that's better than Brian and Kenny, like, please rewatch it at some point.
Because 60-minute matches should be illegal.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely correct. There's legit 30 minutes of good pro wrestling in there. Like, there's just no need for it.
Brett versus Sean was not that good.
Yeah, I agree. That's the whole thing.
I'll have a soft.
But it's not like they could have had a better match if it wasn't an hour, right? Like it's a great feat they did it, but yeah.
Look, I love Bret Hart. I mean, I spend all that friggin' money on the Roots of Fight Bret shit for Christ's sake. But no, that match, it ain't it. It ain't
their matches are weird though, because like everyone talks about their chemistry, Bret and Shawn, as like a contrast to their personal issues, but like their matches together, I very seldom find reach the level you want. You know, like they have the one when Bret first wins the belt, right? Survivor Series, I want to say, when Shawn's younger, and like, that's cool. It was a good match. I don't think they have the magnum opus masterpiece that you would expect with the way people talk about their chemistry, personally. I don't know, Bob, you're an expert on Shawn Michaels. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you make a good point. Like, and especially, I mean, Jack makes a good point, too, where that match gets very overrated. I think, I don't know, man.
You don't know?
No.
Great
good stuff.
Yeah, like pro wrestling is, in a sense, a variety show. That's what it is. That's pro wrestling at its core. It's a variety show. To ask people, paying customers, or people watching on TV to take 60 goddamn minutes to watch the same two guys, it blows my freaking mind.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, I think it has to be in an authentic, organic way where the guys just keep wrestling. A 60-minute Iron Man, I think, is horrible because you know you're in for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So like that match last night, they had hooked me so much, they could have gone a very, very long time without me getting bored. You know? If you tell me going in at 60 minutes, that's a very different thing. There's no drama to me. So, I don't know. There you go. You have anything else to talk about? Can we all go now?
We're doing a post show, Joseph.
We're not doing a post show. Guys, I need to go sleep. I need to stop talking about professional wrestling. I need to take a good 3 days off. Yeah. I need to take a good 3 days off before I'm expected to review Clash of Champions, whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
Just go on my schedule, buddy. I don't fucking sleep anymore.
I'll be up there. If I sleep,
I'm not even going to remember doing this show. I'm not even going to remember walking downstairs here to log on.
The best part about this show, Jack, I hope everything's okay. You said you were going to do a run in, and then like 10 minutes before, you're like, hey, sorry, something came up. Not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, we didn't have to.
20 minutes in, you show up.
No, my kid's one of those kids where you have to change the formula like 3 goddamn times because it's like not settling in her stomach, and she's going. I'm like, please stop. And then you switch the formula, and then she goes to sleep. Like right now, my wife sent me a picture. She's like, she's out. I was like, of course she is.
Yes, Bill's Mafia is correct. I will do the late night grin tomorrow. That'll be after Rampage. That'll be at 5 a.m. for me. 5 a.m. and then I'll sleep for 2 hours and get up to go to Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk at the Tottenham Hotspur Football Stadium. Oh, hell yeah, brother. I'm going to be there. Front row as a guest of Fightful.com, esteemed Joe Hulbert. You join us on, folks, I'm going to promote stuff now, ready?
Okay.
Go to the late night, is it the or just late night grin?
I think it's just late night grin.
Oh, fuck. Let me go again. Yeah. I'm going to promote stuff now, guys. LateNightGrin.com will take you to our Patreon page where you can sign up for a mere $1, $1, $12 a year if you're smart with your donation or whatever the fuck they call it. Patronage. What's happened, Jeremy? Oh, you're doing ones. I thought you were telling me to stop, sir. I was very scared.
$1.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's what I was talking about. And if you do that, you will get access to about 7-8 hours of audio a week. Last night's show was awful, but there was like 2 funny moments that may have made it worth $1. Yeah, tomorrow night after Rampage, we'll review that show and we'll talk about God only knows what. And then you should not hear from me for a couple of days until I have to come on and pretend that I liked Extreme Rules in order to keep the mob off my back. So I'll probably send a tweet out on Monday morning like, wow, Extreme Rules was really awesome, guys. I promise I don't hate WWE, so that then I can get a couple of likes. And then I'll log off again, review that show, and do the whole thing over again. And I can't wait.
Robert O'Neill, do you want to promote anything?
No, I mean, I promoted my one thing earlier.
Please,
Joseph
Bob.
promoted my other thing.
Please just promote the exact same thing I did, please.
Yeah, the late night grin tomorrow. It starts an hour later, so don't show up at the normal time. We will not be there. We'll still be watching Rampage. I cannot stress that enough.
I mean, you can still show up.
I mean, if they want to. No one's going to be there. You're going to look at a blank screen for an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, late night grin tomorrow night. And you can catch that at latenightgrin.com, I believe, is the website.
Factual. Jack Crosby promotes something.
I don't even know what the fuck to promote anymore. You just follow me on Twitter at jcrosbycbs.
All right, there we go. What a show. What a freaking show.
Play the Shades of Grey thing again.
I will. Give me a second, Joseph. I have things to promote as well.
You do?
I have to promote my award-winning Twitter.
Buddy, I was just going to say, I think you did all the promotion you needed. I don't think you need to do anything else. I think you already did it.
We no longer live in a world of black and white. Rather, the landscape has become a canvas of muted grays, where good is indistinguishable from evil, and renegades receive a hero's embrace.